I wrote a book that came out about a year and a half ago. I think that's how long ago it came out. It's a book called Blowout. It's basically about the power of the oil and gas industry, how that one industry is so powerful and has such specific incentives in the way they do business that they have this incredible record of corrupting basically every place they operate. The book is basically a warning about politics, about how democracies all over the world, including here at home, get undermined over and over again by that one industry. They're not just a normal business sector. They are, I think, an unparalleled thing where the companies in that industry regularly shape the governments of whole countries to fit the company's needs. So basically, I wrote Blowout to say, countries should watch out for that. It's not good. Well, now, the other side of that coin, though, is that we should be ready for governments to change, for whole types of government to potentially fail if and when the oil and gas industry that made them possible changes. If and when the oil and gas industry stops being what it is. If these mammoth world-shifting companies that can wrap whole countries around their little finger, if those companies lose a step or disappear or get forced to change into a whole different kind of enterprise, that really will change the world. It'll change governments around the world. And the reason it's worth anticipating that and thinking about how we're going to handle that when it happens is because it has been clear for a while now that that's coming. It's been clear for a while now that the oil and gas industry, for all that it has done to shape the world over the past century, it, in fact, is about to get basically unwired. And it's because they're the problem when it comes to climate. And as stupid as our own domestic politics have been forever about climate, the climate disaster is a real thing that really does need a huge fix, and the world is figuring that out. And the oil and gas companies are going to have to fundamentally get out of the way or change themselves into an entirely new thing for that to happen. And that's going to happen. I mean, in concept, in theory, we have known this was inevitable. It was going to have to happen. We didn't know exactly what it would look like when it arrived or when it would happen or how gradual or sudden it would be. We just have been able to see in theory that this was coming. And then today, all of a sudden, boom, it all just happened all at once. Remarkable day. And it's still seen as sort of a business pages piece of news, but it's more than that. I mean, first of all, this morning at The Hague in the Netherlands, a Dutch court issued a ruling, a court order that requires the massive oil company, Royal Dutch Shell, that's the biggest oil company in the world outside of China. The court order is going to require that company to cut its emissions by 45% by the end of this decade. That's their emissions, their suppliers' emissions, their customers' emissions. That means Royal Dutch Shell is going to need to stop being a burn fossil fuels company very, very quickly. Court order. Then right after that, boom, it happens to Chevron. This is also today, a shareholders meeting, an overwhelming vote by Chevron shareholders requiring Chevron to radically cut its emissions too. And then boom, another one, all in the same day, a huge one, Exxon. The flagship American oil and gas giant, Exxon, which led the way for so long in funding and promoting climate denial and conspiracy theories, Exxon today, against its will, had its shareholders dump some of its board of directors and install new ones who are going to make Exxon do a U-turn on climate, including specifically its plans to keep expanding its drilling operations. That is not going to happen anymore because Exxon, against its will, just got a whole new bunch of directors that it does not want, that it's going to make that company change course. And it all happened in the span of a few hours. Shell, Chevron, Exxon. Watching the Twitter feed of a climate expert like Bill McKibben today was like watching that guy on YouTube seeing the double rainbow, right? It starts out this morning. He says, wow, wow, wow. He explains what the Shell news is, and he links to it. He says, this could be game changing. Then a couple of hours later, Bill McKibben again, he says, whoa, yet more news on this watershed day. It's about Exxon, then a couple of hours after that, he says, an utterly crushing day for big oil. The Chevron news, the Shell news, the Exxon news. He says, quote, thanks to all who fight. You push long enough and the dominoes tumble. Any one of those things happening would be huge news about the richest, most destructive industry on earth. But all three of those huge things happening within hours of each other all in one day, It's almost impossible to believe. You push and stuff eventually falls. Here's the headline in the Wall Street Journal tonight. Oil giants are dealt major defeats on climate change as pressures intensify. Joining us now is Bill McKibben, climate expert, one of the founders of the grassroots climate campaign 350.org. Mr. McKibben, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be with you, and on a day when, for once, we have good news to talk about.
Well, let's talk about it. Exxon, Shell, and Chevron all hit today with different judgments and votes that it seems like are going to force them all to change course when it comes to climate. All the news together feels like a very big piece of news, but how confident are you that this will make a difference?
Well, I don't think any of them by themselves will make a huge difference right away. I think what they're signs is that, a decade of battering away by activists is finally taking a real toll. It was only a week ago that the International Energy Agency said that the time had come for fossil fuel to stop expanding. And this was no, radical outfit. The International Energy Agency was set up by Henry Kissinger in 1974 to be the kind of club for oil consumers. But even they've realized that the mathematics of climate change is inexorable and that there is no way to deal with the problem we face unless we take actions like the one this Dutch court outlined today. I mean, they said Shell has to cut emissions 45% by 2030. That's exactly what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said about 2 weeks ago.
The decision affecting Chevron and Exxon today both happened through shareholder votes, which is not the kind of place that we look for the world's most exciting activism in terms of its impact on the broader world. But it does feel like this was sort of a magic trick almost in turning around these big companies.
10 years ago, Exxon was the biggest company on planet Earth. That's when Naomi Klein and I helped launch this fossil fuel divestment movement that's grown into probably the biggest anti-corporate campaign ever. We're at about $15 trillion now in endowments and portfolios that have divested. And that's helped bring so many people into understanding that these guys can't keep going on the way they're going. Exxon is still powerful, but it's now on the ropes in all kinds of ways. And remember, it's not just that they have to cut emissions. It's that as of tomorrow, they're that much less powerful on Capitol Hill when it comes to lobbying, in state legislatures when it comes to exerting their dominance. These things, once that weakening begins, then the momentum hopefully grows. Now, our problem is that we have to go very, very fast. We're behind the curve. The Arctic, most of the sea ice in the Arctic's melted. I mean, it's not like this guarantees any wins. It just is an awfully good sign that people should keep fighting and keep fighting hard.
Bill McKibben, environmental activist, one of the founders of the grassroots climate campaign 350.org. Bill, thanks for.
Thank you.